14. What is the exaltedness of the Creator? The exaltedness of the Creator means that one should ask of the Creator, to give him the strength to go above reason. In other words, if a person turns to the Creator and asks him, give me the possibility to go above my intellect, my will to receive, to the desire to bestow, to be constantly connected to you through the friends. This is called engaging in the exaltedness of the Creator, because the Creator is above the whole world, the 10, and there is a connection between all of us and the Creator, and He, the Creator, pulls us up. This means that there are two interpretations to the exaltedness of the Creator. One not to be filled with knowledge, meaning I don't want to know to receive. Why? Intellect with which one can answer one's questions. Why? Because if I answer within reason, I limit it through what I am, through my intellect. Rather, he wants the Creator to answer his questions. Rather, this person wants the Creator to answer his questions. However, the Creator decides. That's it. You find that this is called exaltedness. When a person cancels himself and wants the Creator to control his mind and heart, because all the wisdom comes from above and not from man. This is why it's called exaltedness, because by this he elevates the Creator above himself, meaning that one can answer one's own questions. But he isn't doing it. He wants the Creator to answer all his questions, so that our questions too are questions to come from the Creator. We think it. We imagine that they are our own, but we ourselves turn to the Creator and say, you will answer our questions. Not that I will search according to my intellect. It turns out that this is called exaltedness because all the intellect comes from above and not from the person, meaning that one can answer one's own questions. Anything that one can answer is regarded as answering everything with the external mind. This means that the will to receive understands that it is worthwhile to observe dua, which commandments. Commandments means this whole process where we want to develop. However, if the above reason compels one to work, what work? It is called against the opinion of the will to receive. In other words, I don't want to answer anything with my mind and heart. Rather, I'm willing to follow the recommendation of capitalists who are telling me the thoughts and desires of the Creator, and in this way I prepare myself for the Creator himself to satisfy all my doubts and questions. Okay, this is one exaltedness of the Creator, where I want the Creator to answer my questions instead of me doing it with my intellect. Number 2, the greatness of the Creator means that one becomes needy of the Creator to grant his wishes, meaning I develop in me a deficiency each time. It's not like I live and whatever happens happens. No, I constantly turn to the Creator. It's called raising man. When I constantly turn to the Creator and ask him to answer all the questions, all the doubts, all the problems, everything that I feel in my mind and heart that I have, with any question mark, even the slightest, I want the Creator to answer it, to satisfy it. What does that mean? It means I want the Creator to control me, to govern me, to satisfy all my deficiencies, all the problems, all the questions, all of my vessels. I have such deficiencies in me, in all kinds of states, in all kinds of ways, manners, meanings, and I want the Creator to fill them all up with himself. That's it. And then I'll know exactly from where my questions come. Why? For what purpose? And as a result, I will advance. How will I advance? The questions come to me from the will to receive, which comes from the Creator, from the left line, and I ask the Creator to answer them, to fill them. So he answers them from the right side, and then I have the vessel and the light. I have everything, and by this I am established correctly in the middle line on the way. This is why he says that the exaltedness of the Creator means that one becomes needy of the Creator to grant his wishes. Therefore, we have to be alert, aware, sensitive to what we feel, what is missing between us and toward the Creator, toward the study, toward anything in life. We want the Creator to answer these questions, whatever they are. I want to feel in them the presence of the Creator, both on the one hand that it comes from Him, and this I have to connect to the upper force by myself, that there's none else besides Him, and on the other hand for the Creator to satisfy the deficiencies that He created, to fill them with His presence, and in this way I will gradually receive both the vessel and the light from Him. Therefore, we are continuing with the article. Therefore, 1 should go above reason. In other words, not go egoistically to solve his problems in life, at least the spiritual ones, to go above reason, in a manner of bestow. Then one sees that he's empty, because he doesn't have force of bestow, and then he becomes needy of the Creator, for the Creator to answer all his questions, which he may be unable to do anything with him, because he doesn't have the powers to cope with him, to deal with them. Number 2, only the Creator can give him the strength, the power of above reception, to be able to go above reason, above the egoistic mind and heart, meaning the fact that the Creator gives this power to go above a person's ego and build a new world. As we feel this world with our egoistic force, so likewise, when we will want and build the spiritual world where the power will receive from the Creator. This is why it's written, meaning what the Creator gives. This is called the exaltedness of the Creator, because then I discover that the Creator is the one who arranges the image of this world and the image of the spiritual world, that He controls both worlds. And what should I do? I should only, through my efforts, choose the Creator to be the king over all of reality. Okay. All right. Tel Aviv 4. Thank you. Good morning. Often times we say that a person asks for something. We have the example of a baby that points to something and then the Creator does it. But here speaks of a force that the Creator gives you. The force is to do something. What is that force? What the Creator? The fact that the Creator gives us the strength according to our demand to go above in the degree of Boehner. So we begin to understand and feel that we have the power to decide, not toward our will to receive, but toward the will to bestow, not for the sake of our ego, but for the sake of our soul. And our soul is what we build in the group and the connection between us, because only in this way can we understand what is this conspiritual concept, the opposite of what we imagine, what we depict to ourselves. But what is this force? It is the force of Boehner, the force of bestow, which is opposite from the force of reception. You also can't really say that it's opposite. We don't understand what it means in an opposite, that it's opposite. But the fact that we receive it from above, through the reforming light, when we receive it, we begin to understand what is the force of being. It's the force of the Creator, the power that created all of reality, the power that established all reality, the power that operates us to the extent that we sympathize with it, we can discover it, because then we understand how it operates, how it works. And you can't understand it or feel it without sympathy, without being like it. Just say you're a little boy and you're in the family, mother and father and you, and they demand something from you. They want something from you and you don't understand them. You don't want to agree with them. You have your own life, your own desires. How can you receive their intellect? So, the wisdom of Kabbalah explains to us how we can make such efforts where we clothe in the upper one. We surrender to the upper one so that we begin to receive the mind and heart of the upper one, and we can gradually sympathize with the upper one and rise to his level. If in our world we grow, and then we remain egoistic, but we grow from a small degree to greater degree on the spiritual ladder. We have to constantly become inverted. We have to become inverted from degree to degree. What was in the lower one becomes in the upper one. We come from on the same degree to Keter, and then that Keter becomes of an even higher level. So let's say do something in the 10. What's the difference between doing it with my own strength or with the strength of what changes in the action or the intention? The fact that you're working with your own strength, your own desire, and it seems good to you. By this, you might be organizing the group correctly, but you're not doing something spiritual. In terms of the preparation, yes, but the act itself isn't really so. But if you annul yourself before the view of the group, and you feel that you're not together with them, you disagree with them, yet you accept their opinion, even though, of course, it seems to you that what they think and feel is totally incorrect in your opinion. But if you accept it and know before them, then instead of your degree, which might be high, you might understand better and feel better than they. And of course, you're right in the present state and not they. But if you are null before them and accept what they are saying, then you are receiving their spiritual level instead of your corporeal level. That's the difference. That means to acquire the upper mind. This is called receiving the mind of the upper one. It is called the wise learning specifically in this way. Florida. Yes, Rob. Thank you. How exactly do we know that the Creator is answering all of our questions and desires and etc.? And it's not the ego tricking us like it normally does. The Creator answers all the questions, everything we need and what and everything He sends us on condition that we position ourselves correctly. In order to receive the answers from Him, we have to prepare the vessels. The vessels are the correct connections between us. If we do this, we feel in the relationships between us. In the connection between us, we feel His answer. This is called beginning to speak with the Creator. Only in this way. A person alone cannot. Well, he can. But there are small stuff. This is before the actual attainment. Spiritual attainment comes to the extent of a person's connection with the group, to the extent that he returns to the system of, okay, thank you. We never receive fulfillment directly for our prayers. We say that the Creator will fill everything, answer our questions. Rather, we receive an opportunity to work in a seemingly empty vacant space, above reason. Is this the fulfillment of the prayer? No. When we really come to work in faith, above reason, when we want to operate, and do operate, and bestow on top of the force of perception, by this we create this and which, this coarseness of Malat, and we want to go above it, and the forest of bestow. So in this and which we already have a vessel that we built, which we will later divide into, etc. But in the meantime, now what we're building is a certain level of youth coarseness or thickness, above which we can connect. And then if we attribute it to the Creator and want Him to answer all the questions, all the preparations, everything we have, if we want it to happen this way, we begin to feel in this connection between us that we establish the act of bestow, the essence of the act of bestow, and that's how we begin to advance. In this way we can already establish ourselves as an embryo, as a spiritual. You can understand it as if my personal vessels remain empty, and my some kind of connection with the 10 with the group, that's what's getting filled, what receives an answer. Correct. My personal vessels remain without filling, and gradually I just want to leave them altogether. I just drop them, get rid of them, rise above them. They become coarseness. But the coarseness that I use is to the extent that I can relate myself to others. Latin. I don't know if I understood it correctly, the answer you give to a friend from Moscow. You said at some point that we don't need to try and understand and Solve our daily problems. And if so, how can we solve all these questions without the ego? Without the ego, it's impossible. How can you run away from nature? I don't understand you. We should work with our ego. It is help made against us. We have to remain in our will to receive, except we have to position above it. Place above it the intention to bestow. But it's not like we want to get rid of the ego. No. Then what will you be left with? What do you have inside of you besides your ego? You have to organize it correctly. Build above it a relation to the quality of being. Now, clear. All right. To be more precise, is a principle of the correct reception. Kept if I unmold myself before any other kind of group of students or other. No, 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 no. Only within your group. Afterwards, we will understand through our relationships with our friends in the group how we can be connected among the groups. But in the meantime it might confuse us and disintegrate the main group where I mustn't be in a stronger connection with friends in other groups than my connection with the friends in my group. Perhaps there might be some work relationships. We're working toward a congress, we're preparing some study material, etc. We lecture. We give lessons to beginners. But I don't see them as actual parts of my soul. No, this would disperse our focus and will not let us really advance. This needs to be clear to everyone. We keep repeating the same question. We keep returning to it. If you can't be connected to your Teng in this way, that this is the main thing for you, that it's like the womb where you grow the uterus. Where you grow, then no, you should know that you're not advancing correctly at all. First, before you said that we should prefer for more than to do the quality of the bestow. Is there a difference? We can't make the quality of bestow. All we can do is all kinds of actions that increase our point in the heart, that each and every one of us has in general. All the creative beings have it, because it comes from admission. The question is what's its intensity? And this is why here there is a problem. To what extent a point in the heart awakens inside a person. In a certain person it awakens with all its intensity, and then he's willing to do anything to attain the creator. For others, it's not so strong. Some not at all, some are in reason. Some even in reason they don't care. All they want is to live their own corporal life. It all depends on the intensity of the point in the heart inside a man. Quickly PT5, but very quickly. The ego in a person, is it a desire or an intention? The ego itself is a desire. The evil inclination, that's the ego PT14, is right in the 10 with the mind of the 10 to try and build like a set of rules. Like how to appreciate the quality of bestow. You can do whatever you want. Whatever you do, if it's according to what we're learning in order to understand it better, that's respectable. It's a fun too. How can we acquire eyes that see the present and future? We don't want to see the present and the future. We want to see how we in our correct connection between us give contentment to the Creator. Seeing the present and the future, that's an egoistic desire. The love world 10. The 10 is like a unit for person that meet towards the 10. That's how we relate to each other. But if there's an external person that doesn't study or a state I want to get to or to be positive to, cover love without crimes in front of someone who doesn't study, how should I relate to that? Is this related to your workplace or to spirituality? It's an encounter with the general malat. I don't understand your what. You're saying me your mal, you don't. Explain to me about malat. I don't understand what that is. Okay. So I'm speaking about an external cause. That through him I discover state that I want to get to in the 10. So that's not good. You should leave your 10 and leave us if you're trying to connect us to an external factor. He help. That wasn't my meeting of, but I'm telling you and telling you what you should do. That's it. What you're saying is really, it's not acceptable. Go over there where you find this nice external factor, and start being. Subjugate yourself to it. PT 31. When a person wants the Creator to be in control, how does it affect the daily life? How does he respond to different states? Wants to have the force of his to rule in the group, and he along with the friends of the group he's in he's in search of how to have it so that the mind of the Creator, the plan of creation, this direction for the final correction, will always aim the group in each and every moment. PT 19. That first part, it's not clear what you said. A person has to go above reason. Then he sees that he's empty and becomes needy for the Creator. But what are the preconditions to this? You need conditions. You can't just get the greatness of the Creator like that. In this short article, he doesn't give you, well, he was talking about a certain state. It was in a during a meal or a lesson. I don't know how. Taught this day this way. But this is what we have. You were speaking about intention. What should be the right intention? That I want the Creator to clothe on me, and aim me and teach me how to walk in spirituality. You had small children, right? Now I have grandkids. Now you have grandchildren. Good. So, I also have a small grandchild. And if it's as if you take him and along with him when you're holding him with your hands and you teach him how to walk, that's how that we want the Creator to teach us how to walk in life. So what's the question? The 10 that's with me, they have weight in the greatness of the Creator. If I along with my 10 want the Creator to take us, we are the baby that the Creator will take us and accompany us to walk this way, just as we teach a small child to walk. Yes, then this is what's going to happen. We want to ask about that, but it all depends on the 10, not on me. That's what you're saying. The 10 of course. Yes, of course. The Creator doesn't hear an individual. He barely hears only the 10. He does hear the individuals to correct them so they can connect to the 10 to reach our vote. Thank you. All right. Good. All that's left for us is the internet. Hello. Question from Women Australia. What develops in us first? The feeling of fear or the feeling of the greatness of the Creator, and how close are they to one another? It's a very look at this question. Look at what they're asking. Well done. Australia. You see, Australia, women from Australia ask the question again. What develops in us first? The feeling of fear or the feeling of the greatness of the Creator, and how close are they to one another? The awe or fear. We don't have the greatness of the Creator. That has to develop, and if this develops, we don't need anything else. Then we attain the greatness of the Creator, and that's all. But having fear of not having it, that's the greatness of the that's that nice spiritual high fear. You can really kiss it. Well done, women. There's another question from the I. Understand that you're the representatives of a representative of women also. That's fine. So the women from are asking about the excerpt. That above reason, that's what obligates a person to keep going in the work. That's called against the reason of the will to receive. So the question is, what does it mean that faith above reason obligates a person to advance in the work? It's because I want to attain the Creator, and that's not our whole work. That's our whole life. That's our whole purpose. The reason we're alive and exist in this world is to attain the Creator. We have nothing else. And how can we do that? We need to accept the mind and emotion of the Creator bit by bit, gradually in slices and small portions, and bit by bit. That's how we advance, come closer to Him more and more and more. This is how we reach a state that even in our heart and our brains, both in my mind and emotion, I'll be in, accompanied I, the Creator. Besides the mind and the heart, there is nothing more for a person. We have two forces, so that's what we want to happen. The fact that the Creator fills us, that's considered that we're walking instead of our reason, in His reason. That's called faith above reason. Australia, another question from woman. Australia. Okay. Yes. Do we need to have the feeling of greatness of the Creator before I'm able to kneel before the friend? We need both. We can't come close to the Creator, but only to the extent that we come close to the friends. You can't do that because that's the vessel. And if you don't come closer to your friends, it has to be clear to us that we don't come close to the Creator as well. It is coming closer to spirituality. But it's only in the meantime, and it's false. It's not whole, at least. Coming close to the friends is the foundation. That's the vessel with which this is what we serve the Creator. Where do we want to accept Him? Where can we feel Him? This connection, His connection is only in the tin, in the spiritual. Okay, good. There's more questions if you want. No, you gave us. From a few continents. PT 23. Thank you all for this wonderful lesson. The question is, can you maybe say, according to the article, that in order to search for answers, you have to go in reason but not to clog yourself, and remain with the question and go above reason with it. Look, we need the reason in order to go above it, just as we need our ego, the will to receive, in order to build something above it. If we didn't have the will to receive, how could you build spirituality? You have no connection with the spirituality. But if it's the upside down way, you turn your will to receive upside down and you build above it. Above it, you build the form of bestow. So accordingly, you build spirituality. If you don't build spirituality, it doesn't exist. Spirituality doesn't exist. The Creator doesn't exist unless you build it above your corporate reality. That's it. That's why it's written, you have made me. Building the left line just to agree to remain with the question as a means to advance to the right, and the Creator can fill it. That agreement, that's the first step. An agreement is the beginning. Yes. Just as we see in the building of the pot, you have restriction screen, reflected light, a calculation in the reflected light, and then a connection with reception in order to bestow. Yes, we're saying that we are a heart and mind. What's the spiritual root of that heart and mind? That's how we're built. From heart and mind both. This emotion and the mind. They can format. They can give a shape to the will to receive, so that it will accept upon itself different shapes of reception and bestow. The Creator has created us this way, and it's a whole different subject why He had to build us this way, and where we're going to soon come to that. We don't yet have enough foundations to do research these things. So yes, we're incorporated with emotion and the mind. This is how the will to receive accepts upon itself its form. If in our reality the mind serves the feeling in my ego and in spirituality, it's also that the spiritual mind serves the spiritual feeling, though it's both have to work together. But this is more correct. All I want is to want to reach in covalence with the Creator through both. So I need to have coarseness restriction, a screen and a certain form of the reflected light when I build myself like the Creator, and then I take upon myself this shape in practice. That's how it works. Holland. Our good morning, rough. I'm in the lesson. I'm with you. I'm with the friends. I feel the effort. I feel your effort conveying it to us. The effort of the friends asking questions. I'm there. Friends who are translating everything. It's a huge deficiency. And I feel the need for the Creator to help us here. That all these efforts we need Him. What is the difference between this need I feel now and the need that I would feel if I would be empty? And what is the difference of the answer of the Creator? The difference is in your vessel, in your deficiency. To what extent you feel empty. And what's the form of emptiness? What's the manner of this emptiness? What exactly do you feel? What do you want? What are you lacking? Some people are lacking and they don't know how to express it. Some understand more what they're missing, and some people know besides that how to relate to the source from which they can receive the fulfillment. And for this source to reformat them to change the meaning, they don't want the fulfillment alone. They want the change. They want their fulfillment to be their own change. They don't need to feel themselves full. Their satisfaction is from their change from a form of reception to a form of bestow. That's their fulfillment. They're not asking for fulfillment as pure fulfillment in their desire to be filled. Rather, they want to change that their essence will change. That's basically what we're talking about. Being in faith above reason. So, can I ask, can I continue? Yes. Yeah. So if I feel this need that we need a creator to help us, should I use this then to go above reason and use it like, okay, I am floored, I don't see that everything is corrected, and I should now go above reason. The truth is to rise above reason. That the best thing would be for that to incorporate yourself in the 10 and bow down to your 10 and accept their reason above yours. That's a real exercise, a rational one, a correct one. If you foregoing in faith above reason, when you accept the reason of the 10 instead of your own, talk about your 10 that it's advancing, and it's clear that you have a goal, and everyone agrees to that, etc. So if you, every time, you want to bow down before them and to be below them, and you have some resistance. Friends, in the next part of the lesson, we will study from the preface to the Wisdom of Kabbalah. It's a recorded lesson from the 31st of May 2006. Again, you can find the article in The Writings of Basulam in Hebrew, page 267. We are in item 23. We are in item 23. Yet we must still find out why it is that when the vessel of Malat phase 4 is absent from the screen, it lacks the light of Keter, and when the vessel is absent, it lacks the light of etc. It seems as though it should have been the opposite, that when the vessel of Malhut phase 4 is absent from the screen only, the light of Malhut would be missing in the level, and it would have the 4 lights of. Also, in the absence of 2 vessels, phase 3 and phase 4, it would lack the lights of and Malat, and the level would have 3 lights etc. So he says the following, that we have a screen, and now it determines everything we had. A restriction, the first restriction, alf, the decision that, in a way that it was formed following the 4 phases of direct light, will never receive into it the upper light, and itself Mal had earlier, it was Mal then. We had the restriction, and following the restriction we have the screen Mac, and the screen is what determines what will happen with the vessel, in what state the created being will be opposite the creator, and now the screen determines if the screen works with the coarseness of phase 4. Then he says that it is clothed in a vessel where the vessel now means the screen and the reflected light. So it clothed in, or it closed in a vessel. That all in all is revealed here. And if it's with coarseness of phase 3, then it's, and if it's with the coarseness of phase 2, it's, if it's in coarseness of phase 1, it's, and if it's with the coarseness of the root, then it is nephesh. It's what we call the inverse relation of lights and vessels. The inverse relation of lights and vessels. This is what now wants to explain to us. Why do we have that? That, if we work with the greatest coarseness, we discover the light inner a vessel, called the screen Mac equals the vessel Kli. Why is that? Because on it depends how much we will receive. This is why we say this is the vessel. This is the cause. Why? Now in the screen everything depends, and if we work with the screen, then we now have an inverse relation and not a direct relation between the lights and the vessels. Yes. 24. The answer is that there is always an inverse relation between lights and vessels. In the vessels, the higher ones grow, first in the first, then the vessel of etc., and the vessel of grows last. This is why we name the vessels by the order, from above downward, as this is the nature of their growth. It is to the contrary with the lights in. The lights, the lower lights are the first to enter. The first enters, which is the light of, then which is the light of, etc. And the light of is the last to enter. What does he tell us? If we look at the vessels, then the vessel of Bener Zarin and Malat, the vessels grow from the smallest to the greatest. The courses of wood, 0, 1, 2, 3. And the lights, he says, are seemingly the opposite. It is the vessels the higher ones grow first in the pulp, first scatter, then the vessel of, etc. This is why the order is Zerin, and they grow in this order. And it is to the contrary with the lights in the lights. The lower lights are the first to enter. The poo first enters, not the ket, but this is the entrance of the lights. We think that Keter is the highermost vessel, but the light is only Nephish, the lowest light. So how does that happen? Says upper and lower. Why do we have an inverse relation between lights and vessels? It's not clear. We relate to Keter as the topmost vessel. The Keter is the creator. The Keter is the show, the root. He calls the bestower, the giver. It is the representative of the creator in the vessel. His quality. It's the uppermost vessel. It is refined, and the light that enters is the lowest. Most light, the light of Nephish, which is hardly felt in the vessel. We already know the answer, so it's difficult for us to go back. That there is the matter. We already know. We'll explain it in a minute. That there is the matter of the vessel Kli, and there is a matter of the drawing. And then if I speak about the vessel as the vessel grows, then Keter is the smallest vessel, even though it's the topmost. Because I'm talking about the screen in it, but when the screen that I'm talking about goes down to, then I'm already talking about a vessel. And the Keter is a vessel of attainment. Not drawing, but harger attainment. And in the attainment now we have here Amma. Let's do it again. The screen is what makes the changes for us. He changes all the elements, because if we would be talking about an ordinary Kli, the coarser it is, it should have felt less. This on the top is refined, and on the bottom it's coarse. So a more refined vessel understands more, feels more, is impressed more. A person in this world, let's say, he's very sensitive. He's refined. He's gentle, subtle. So he has a greater impression. A feeling, more of a feeling. If a person is coarse, he feels less. He's kind of opaque, obvious. So we're seemingly here speaking about on the top, about a great light or gadol, and on the bottom, Katan or Katan, the small light. Just look at life. Don't start tying it to spirituality, right? The greater the coarseness. On the top, there is, and then, root 0, 1, 2, 3. Let's say we find such people who feels more and who feels less, right? Let's say people of culture or education, all kinds of people that belong to theatre. So they are, let's say, refined, more sensitive. So they have a greater impression, they understand more, they are excited than ordinary people. Someone who works in construction or in the market, they don't feel so much. They can't distinguish the small impressions. They're more coarse sensitivity. It's a sensitivity changes. This is the ordinary way it is for us. Now, this is just a plain coarseness. And so we say that this is, let's say in this world, with people it's according to the sensitivity. So here let's say it's great light or small light impression. Now we're taking something completely different. Now we take spirituality. In spirituality, it is all under the screen, and it works not with the root 0, 1, 20, 3, 4, but rather it now works with the screen, and according to the screen it adds to itself degrees of coarseness. So then we say if it works with the coarseness of the show root, then the light that it is impressed by and attains is a very small light. It's not up here. where great light enters into it in the coarseness of the root because he's sensitive. If he works with coarseness if one, then the light is greater and so on and so forth. Because here he's working with the screen, so he has an inverse relation between lights and the vessels. The greater the coarseness, he attains and feels more meaning in this world. What is more refined? One who is more refined feels more than one who is coarse. In spirituality on the left, the one who is coarse feels more than the one who is refined. The one who is greater than his friend, his inclination is greater, so it turns out to be an inverse relation between lights and vessels. Because the coarseness of youth is inverted into refinement through the screen. Go ahead and ask. I see that you seem to be somewhat blocked with this. Yes. What does it mean 1-to-1 who's greater than his friend? Inclination means the will to receive in Hebrew yet. From the desire. We're not talking about a good inclination or a bad inclination, but simply a desire. The greater it is. We say the person is more coarse. Coarse doesn't mean he's crude. If it is in spirituality, then the coarseness actually turns into refinement. He understands better. He feels better. Feels more because he worked with his vessels to refine them to be in order to bestow. He corrected the great desires to be in order to bestow. So in these desires he has more possibility to feel, compared to someone who corrected less. Whereas in this world, when a person does not correct his ego, his coarseness, his desires, inclinations, so it turns out that the fewer desires he has, he's more refined, and the more desires he has, is more coarse. So there is an inverse relation between corporality and spirituality. It depends on where the person is. And if we look at him, we can be confused. We don't know where he is. We don't know if he's refined or coarse. If he's in this world, certainly his coarse. If he's in spirituality, he's refined. But I don't see that. I cannot see his vessels. I cannot see his lights. I see with my own eyes. With my own eyes. His external, his vessels, his externality. We say that anyone who disqualifies is disqualifying through his own flaws. If I am in this world, then I look at a person and he's also in this world and my vision seems correct. But if he's in spirituality, then I see what vessels, what behavior, what things are there. This is why Kabbalists usually had to conceal themselves. It's not clear the way that they behave because common people think that a person should be simply an angel. But an angel means currents of zero root. So and man is the opposite of the angel. It's coinset of phase 4. Frin. This stems all of our confusion from the work with the screen versus without the screen. This is called the view of the Torah, meaning working with the screen is the opposite of the view of the landlords. The Judaism or the Torah of the landlords, what does it mean for them? It's sit and pray, a little bit, eat, be gentle. In short, don't develop and you'll just be good. You'll be beautiful. And in spirituality it's the opposite. You have to be if you want to be great. Then, as it says, one is greater than his friend, his inclination is greater. You have to bring these desires to correction. This is why someone who begins to study the wisdom of Kabbalah, he starts to feel in self that he's more corrupted because all of his inclinations, his desires, start to emerge. And then he feels himself as more corrupted, more empty, more cruel, more agitated on the one hand. On the other hand, he starts to judge the world to his vessels also. Accordingly, as it says that he disqualifies through his own flaws, then he sees flaws in the world and in the friends and in everyone. Accordingly, it turns out that our whole perspective, our whole outlook on reality, in the degrees that we are before spirituality and following spirituality, depends on the changes that we have with the screen and without the screen. It is two different worlds. Ken. What is a screen? What is its structure? What is a great light, small light, lowly light? It looks like can't grasp it. The screen means intention. The intention is my connection and my relation to the giver. If I say about the work in this world, this is a called without the connection with the host, the landlord without connection to the landlord. This means in this world I don't feel him. I have no respect towards him. I don't punish him or respect him or nothing. I can say I believe like common people say believe, but there's nothing to it. It's not really considered faith here in spirituality on the left. What is spirituality? A connection with the landlord. Connection with the landlord. And faith, here, means a feeling. Right here. Faith is, how shall I put it? How do you owe? That's the result. Faith is agreement. Let's say consensus, it's agreement that I was told something and I agree that it is so. Without checking, without knowing. Why do we call it faith? Because it's the vessel of, I have to refine myself to such an extent that I'm congruent with the quality of the light, the giver. Then I will feel the landlord, the host, the giver, and according to my feeling, according to my vessels, I already judge him, I feel him. Therefore, such a feeling is called faith, the quality of being, and that is spirituality. Whereas in this world, it is simply that I was told that there was the occasion of Mount C and Moses. This is what I was taught in school, let's say, or even in the kindergarten, and the teacher told me that, and it's all fine, and I say I believe that it's enough for me to perform all kinds of actions in this world, but it is not a connection without a connection with the landlord. So, the work with connection with the landlord is the work with the screens too. The extent that I connect with him, and I connect with him according to the equivalence of form, according to his relation to me and my relation to him, as much as we're similar to each other. And the work in this world means without any connection to the landlord. They say it's an opposite work, an opposite feeling, completely opposite relations, as it written that the view of the Torah is the opposite of the view of the landlord, because Torah means light. So one who follows the view of Torah according to the perception of the light, he behaves differently versus the landlords in this world. People who believe in the framework of this world, what we call religious people. This oppositeness stems from the screen. With the screen, one who is greater than his friend is greater, and without the screen, one who is greater than his friend is more coarse. He's lower, and here he explains to us what is actually happening in this process. How much with the screen he works with greater or coarser vessels. He discovers greater lights. What does that mean? It means he discovers greater corrections within himself, and the lights of the correction within him are greater. It means that he feels the Creator is greater. He has a greater connection with the Creator. According to the perception of reality, we learn that I don't feel something that is outside of me, but rather I feel my own corrections as inner light. The screen and reflected light is what operates in the vessel, and therefore there is an inverse relation. Well, let's continue. Let's finish this. Therefore, we name the light by the order from below upward, and this is the order by which they enter from below upward. Thus, when only one vessel has grown in the pot, which is necessarily the highest vessel, the light of related to that vessel does not enter, but only the lowest light, the light of Nefesh. Thus, the light of Nefesh clothes the vessel of Ket. When two vessels grow in the pot, which are the highest to Ket, and the light of enters it as well, at that time the light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of Ket to the vessel of, and the light of clothes the vessel of Ket. Similarly, when a third vessel grows in the pot, the vessel of Bina, the light of enters it. At that time, the light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of HMMA to the vessel of Bina, the light of to the vessel of, and the light of close the vessel of Ket. When a fourth vessel grows in the pot, the vessel of, the light of enters the pot. Then the light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of Ben to the vessel of, the light of to the vessel of Ben, the light of to the vessel of, and the light of to the vessel of. And when a fifth vessel grows in the vessel of, the light of enters it. At that time all the lights enter their designated vessels. The light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of to the vessel of Malat, the light of to the vessel of, and the light of to the vessel of, the light of to the vessel of, and the light of to the vessel of Ket. This means that on the outside we have the upper light. It is one light. Right? There is nothing here. It's not separate, distinguished into 1,000 different lights or anything, but rather, the vessel is what distinguishes it, according to the degree of coarseness. Again, before the vessel we have what we call masak screen. Screen equals the intention to bestow. Yeah, and according to this intention to bestow, which the vessel takes as its principle, there is coarseness here, the coarseness in the vessel, which is under the first restriction, that does not allow itself to do anything, and it uses it, a right through the screen, meaning according to which screen it has, and then according to that it discovers corrections, meaning how much light enters it. Go ahead and ask. You see what yesterday was so simple, today is not so simple. It's an indication of advancement. The light of Nefesh would enter the vessel of Keter. Everything is fine. Everything is clear. Everything is understood. If you ask a person who just started to study something, says yeah. If you talk to a person who is a bit more in it, then already it's the light of Ni, and then the light of everything moves. Everything is not in its place where there's so much clarity. Now no, things can change. Maybe it's not exactly the way I was thinking before. Maybe on the next day or the day after, it will change even more. He no longer knows within himself if it is true or not. You see this with scientists, especially. None of them says this is how it is, according to the calculation and the measurement and the data. This is how they are accustomed to speak, because they see that there is nothing which is absolute in reality, but rather everything is for the time being, according to the correction, the lights, and the vessels, and the perception, etc. So the fact that today we're beginning to have some doubts, and we don't know how to tie these things together, it is actually a good sign. It's a good sign, on the one hand, that we are already changing, and we have experience already, in that there are changes, on the other hand that things within us move, and we don't quite know whatever was so simple before. It's an indication of good changes, and in that again, there is a big difference between the landlords and the Torah. The Torah is the spirit that changes, but the landlord, it's everything is absolute. He just says, this is my property, my possession. It's all good. So one who doesn't have the strength to advance, to suffer the changes, he does not advance, and he's like the landlord. He's certain of this. He guards himself. There are no problems. And we also sometimes retreat into that state of the landlord. It's better to just remain still with few problems. As it says, adding reason, adding pain. What we need it for. But here everything becomes clear, because this is the main difference between spirituality and corporality. He's not going to talk about it later. But here, with the restriction and taking the screen on itself, the vessel from the world of soft takes upon itself the governance of the screen, and by that everything changes. The further development will happen after the shattering in this world. So if you talk about reality, we have a soft there. Everything is permitted there. You have the desire to receive. Is still not in order to receive, but the will to receive works in a simple way, like that vessel and light. Then we have the 5 worlds. The what works is the screen, not the will to receive, but the green with the will to receive. And then we have this world, in which the will to receive works. But in order to receive, of course, in order to receive small things, but its essence is in order to receive. So that, if we can give up on this in order to receive, then we rise to the spiritual world. And the point in the heart helps us in that, etc. More questions. Everything's clear. What happens with light that still didn't enter the Kli? If only the light of Nefesh enters, what happens with all the rest? How do I know that all the rest exists? I have the light of Soft before me. How? Do I even know if it's in Saf or not? In Soft, I don't know anything. I work with my small vessel. First of all, I restricted. That's it. I want to be connected with the host that's above everything. That, for me, is the highest value. I'm better off dead than alive. To be connected with him. That's my life, not what I have in my pocket. So, I made a decision. Well, of course, it's out of the prior work. It's not that I just decide, and then it is done. It's work that has to be through the light, so that the light will correct me in such a way that I decide that I want to be like him. I want to be connected with him. So I decided, and according to my decision I restricted myself. Everything is the result of the light. What depends on me is only the result of my work, my preparation. So I decide, meaning the light made such an operation that I decide, that's it. Now what is revealed? I want to be not disconnected from my previous life for the sake of connection with the host, but rather under any condition that comes I want to be connected with the host, right, meaning I know myself. I don't disconnect myself from my previous life, from my desires in order to receive, but rather I want to be inside of him that's called Uber already, embryo, and that also of course is the result of the influence of the light. That the desires change within me, because the light shake the vessels. It's not the other way around. So when I reach such a state, then I feel the host, the landlord, is still not changing. It's actually the degree of my correction that I simply neutralize myself, and I'm willing to be in adhesion with him no matter what. The condition that I reach now is that I, myself, that I place is the condition of being in him. I don't want more than that, and I can't, because the vessels are revealed gradually according to their structure, the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and when the first vessel is revealed, so I understand. I feel, I judge, I determine that I only want to be inside the host, inside the upper one. I don't have a feeling now of exploring him, understanding him, being in connection with him, he and I on him, and embracing with him. No, I don't understand yet. It's like the steel versus a vegetative animating speaking in this world where each one of them doesn't understand a different level of life than where it exists. It's the same with a person in this state, and whatever he feels, he discovers some light. This light is the light of Nefisher, of Nefesh, resting, the general light without any parts or details, without any changes. And it does not change. And bit by bit what changes? In the person the coarseness changes, and according to his coarseness he adds a degree of adhesion, and this is called the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 of Yubal, the embryo. And when it shifts, suddenly a click occurs in him, and he starts to feel that he can be in changing relations, what is called Ru, spirit of wind, literally, with the upper one, etc. And in every degree, this is how he grows according to his effort that he's willing to, and now his desire, and even work with it in the opposite way, with a screen only, and so, according to that, he feels his corrections from Nefesh to W, etc. What does that mean with Nefs? He only neutralized his desire with, well, he already works with the desire with some sort of giving to the host, and accordingly he feels from within himself. He disqualifies from his flaws. He justifies from his flaws from within himself according to the degree of his correction. So he determines who is the host. What does he give me? According to how much he can give to the host. He doesn't know who is the host, but according to how much he says I give to him. Accordingly, he begins to feel within himself the image that he built by himself, the image of the host. This is why Bo is called Bo. Come and see. You build the creator within yourself. There is where is this image, the image that is revealed to you, that appears to you build it. And if it is the opposite seemingly, the qualities or these images are more advanced and you're not ready for it, then as it is written, and Moses hid his face, there is a mutual game here, a reciprocal game between vessels that are less corrected and more corrected. How to draw the person to correction? Is there an influence of the second light, let's say the light of Nephish, that enters? Does it influence in some way the light of that enters afterwards, at speed or quality or something? No, the light of Nephish that was there before, it's not just that it goes down to a lower degree. You understand? In the light of Nephish now, more than the way it was before, because the light of Nephish now fills your currents of level 1, not the coarseness of level 0, the root. Let's say you have 2 kids in your family. You have an older daughter and a younger daughter. So the older daughter understands what is happening with the younger daughter. Why? Because that same light of Nephish that is in the smaller daughter, that was in the smaller younger daughter in the courses of 0 in the older daughter, it is in courses 1. What does she say? Mum, look what my little daughter wants. She understands here, but the younger one doesn't understand it, because the light of Nephish is in coarseness 1, not in the courses of the root. So it's not the same light of Nephish that you now judge it from the degree of coarseness. You understand you were younger, smaller, and how you behave back then and why. But the light of for you is still in the level of the show root. You live it, but you don't understand it, feel it. You can't relate to it because it is the upper one, and you are the lower. You only relate to the previous degrees. Well, the lights are not according to their vessels. Then you understand them, meaning on the degree of 4 of coarseness, I understand the light of Nephish in the best possible way. Then I understand all the details in it. I understand all the way to a degree of 4. When I'm in, I understand as it says that the end result is in the initial thought. Why does it all happen to me, work to me in such a way? Because that same light of Nephish exists in my awareness. But in what depth? All the way from the light of I observe the Nephish is the law that the first bite or the first taste of something is the most flavorful. So we are in a lesson on the topic of winning the war. We will read selected excerpts to reinforce the world clee and for peace in the world. And we are in excerpt number 6, writes, one should always be in a state of overcoming. This is considered that he's always at war. As our sages said, one should always fix the good inclination over the evil inclination, and Rashi interpreted, one should make war with it. If a person always walks in a state of above reason, the Creator says, behold, I give him a covenant of peace. As it is written, I will hear what God, the Lord, will say, for he will speak peace to his people and to his followers, and let them not return to folly. This means that after the Creator makes a covenant of peace with a person, he has no more wars. As it is written, when the Lord favors man's ways, even his enemies will make peace with him. This is what Rabash writes for us in his interpretation, that when the person moves from ordinary reading and hearing to reading and hearing correctly, then he thus acquires the quality of the Creator, where he begins to understand and feel the internality of what he writes, what he reads, and all of this happens because the Creator desires him, as it's written, when the Creator wants the path of the person, his enemies complete complement him as well, meaning that all those qualities and thoughts, and the opposite attitude there is in the person, for which he doesn't hear, doesn't feel, the content of what the Creator says. What's written, that inverts within him from posterior to anterior. Then he hears, understands, he feels how the verse seems from the Creator's perspective, or whatever it is that he studies, and that's what we need to reach. Try to understand the whole Torah directly, which means to rise to the degree where it turns out that we observe, we see, we understand and feel the entire world, unlike ordinary people, but already in a degree of ascent towards the Creator. Yes, honey. Questions on the screen me. Okay. We have questions. All right. So, we'll begin from key of 1. I can't hear. All right. Let's try PT 29. It says here that if a person always walks above reason, then the Creator says, I give him my covenant of peace. What does it mean that he always walks out of reason? He is always in connection, a constant contact, that he's concerned that I'll have it with the Creator. And in this way, he advances. And for this he always has to keep working on himself, meaning that everything he reads, understands, feels, accepts, and talks about, it's all on the degree, is constant connection with the Creator. Center 1. We read that a person needs to overcome. The question is, what do I overcome? Against yourself. Because what you started, you're on the degree of, maybe even less. And what you want to reach, all those degrees. You feel how you ascend, what degree you belong to, and how you can exchange your state to higher state, from one degree to the next. What does it mean against myself? Can I perhaps specify, elaborate, what does it mean to go against myself? In your behavior, in the way you understand, in your attitude towards your friends, and to the whole world, and to the Creator. Make sure you are at least on the degree that you ascended from. That's it. And so on. All degrees. It all depends on your devotion to the Creator and to this world. What you reveal in it, what you feel in it, that's it. That's how you try to behave. Turkey 1. In the excerpt it says that a person has to always instigate the good inclination against the bad inclination. How to do that? How to always incite the good inclination against the evil inclination. Because that's how he discovers himself in his environment and tries to be towards his environment on the degree of the vegetative. Meaning, on the vegetative degree. To the vegetative degree means that everything around him he receives not only is still that. This is how he feels the world. But the world that he feels already, on the degree of the vegetative, salt in him, as something changing, as something that there's always more than what he saw before in his regular eyes. Oh, his eyes can open even more, if you could say that. We learn all the differences in it. Good morning, dear RH. Morning. What makes us worthy of receiving the covenant of peace from the Creator? What do we have to do in the Shalom? We begin to feel the Creator's relation, or the upper world, as we say, towards us. The degree of, as a general degree, the first lowest degree, which is peace, Shalom or Nefesh. And then afterwards, when a person tries to adhere to that attainment, to that feeling, adhering to the Creator on the degree of Nefesh, then gets a greater connection with the light, and so on, of the degree of Nef, meaning the general degree is still Ni. And then he can enter the degree of, so then there's, of the degree of war, and so on. Every 5 degrees in each 5 degrees, and in each degree 5 subs that are included in it. That's how he keeps going and attains on every degree, the measure of his attainment of his ability. That's how he sees himself constantly working towards the Creator that he wants, and he is able to receive more bestow from the Creator, called the upper light. and under the Greek. And that's how he ascends more and more. 5 times 5. PT 10. Shalom shalom everybody. Hello, hello, everyone. What is this? What is that covenant and peace the Creator make for his people? Thank you. Shalom, shalom. Covenant of peace that a person signs with a Creator is that he's concerned that a person remains on the degree of nephesh and don't let him fall from it, descend from it. That's the way you can understand it. One key of one said that we need to try to hold the light of nephesh and not let it exit. How do we hold on to it? We don't know how to do that yet. But we have to yearn upward, to yearn for the feeling of the Creator's control upon us as providence. So that's called nephesh. And when each one will feel inside such a degree of a connection with the Creator, the degree of niche, then we can start ascending towards. Then maybe, it all depends on as much as a person wants to be close, tight with his friends, and through them to the Creator that fills them. PT 23. Abash writes that one must always overcome and always make war against the evil inclination. Then he writes that if a person always walks about reason, then the Creator makes a covenant with him, and there are no more wars. The question is, why is there such a situation where all the wars end if he says in the beginning that a person needs to always be at war? You'll see that on the degrees when we start attaining them. You will see as much as it is right. 3. It's written that after the Creator makes a covenant of peace with a person, he has no more wars. Is that the entrance to spirituality or the end of correction? The personal end of correction. When we finish the correction on, we stop. We live everything we have in that state, on that degree, and in this way we can keep advancing onward. But stopping on a previous degree is necessary because on that degree or every degree, there's how it works. Private end of correction. Does it start from the degree of nephesh? Of course. Sometimes when I feel disconnected, I try to connect to you or another Kabbalist. How can I do that correctly? You can get an impression from people, from the world, of the state you're in. On the degree of is the lowest degree. It's the beginning. The degree of is when you start your attainment. From the degree of, and so on. Now, we'll learn all this. Through the exercises, we will know where we are and how we rise from one state to the next. What changes for us a higher degree? What the connection between the degrees are. Every degree divides into 5 parts. And this way we advance. Spain woman. My question is how to interpret the covenant of peace that the Creator makes with a person, and what inner change does that covenant imply, represent? I don't think a person has maybe. When he's ascending, so he has a feeling on a greater degree. Then from the greater feeling he understands the degree he was on. Also divides into 5 parts. That's why, in this way he goes and he attains, and the more he rises he can attain the degree that's below him. That includes lower degrees, smaller degrees, and this is how he keeps rising. In short, what we need to know is the technique, how with what we can ascend from one degree to the next, meaning, what's connected, what are we lacking, in order to rise the lower degree to the higher degree. Does the degree start from disconnection, meaning under the degree of nephesh? Is that always how it is, or are we not supposed to descend below nephesh? It's necessary to start every degree we attain from 0 of meaning that we don't feel it. Then we start feeling it. And so on. That's how each and every degree starts. And this is how it's depicted in us. PT 19. Hello friends, it's written in the excerpt that you have to attain the Creator's quality. And then he says that the Creator's quality is bestow. We talk a lot about bestow. How can you define bestow? We talk about it and talk about it, but nobody knows what bestow is. Can you explain bestow? Perhaps guide us as directly as possible to what it means. That's also that he receives more and bestows more. Because the degree itself, the degree of bestow, meaning there's a degree of receiving and a degree of bestow. So as much as a person can receive more, to that same extent more or less or even more, he can be and bestow. That's why, for us, it's important. Why more or less important is so important. We'll talk about it more. The work in the wisdom of Kabbalah is all about attaining that. Bestow actually. Yes. Women PT 23. I heard you say in the beginning of the lesson. I heard you interpret regarding the interpretation of the text. You said that a person transitions to true reading and hearing by that he receives the Creator's quality. So the question is, what does it mean to transition from regular reading and hearing to the correct reading and hearing, and how to do that? Reading and hearing meaning that's a person's attainment. That on the lowest degree he feels that in somewhat he is in some type of connection with the upper light, even though he doesn't recognize anything, it just feels he's in it. It's like a baby that is born, and we take care of it. And it could be that he gets all kinds of treatments, but without feeling where it's coming from and what efforts it takes to take care of him. But he still supposedly, he doesn't respond. If he does respond, so we could say that everything he feels in such a way that's called the still, and then he ascends to the degree of nefesh, meaning itself includes 5 parts. So he ascends on the degree of from, and then, meaning on each and every degree he has 5 parts. P8. When he says that the Creator makes a covenant of peace with him, does it mean that he does so on the degree of nefesh, while on the degree of he can still be at war because that's his new degree, and then the war will transition to the degree of but in nefesh and he'll have peace? Is that how it works? No. Well, almost. Usually he won't attain a degree of nef, let's say, but the degrees that are below that degree he can feel, and he makes efforts in order to discover it, to remain in it. But if he's at peace, then there's no advancement seemingly. If the Creator makes a covenant of peace with him, how can he advance? How can he advance with no war? Not through war, through connection with degrees. Person that invites that connection. It's called that he advances, that he rises, and he rises. If he has peace, why will he want to rise? What motivates him to rise? If there is peace with the Creator, he doesn't have any more. Shalom. The peace is enough for him. It's enough for him. So how does he continue advancing? His coarseness rises. No. That's the question. Exactly. On the degree of he reached peace. Now the degree of is revealed. There is a war, right? Apparently it cannot start from peace. Right? No. If he reached a degree in contact with the Creator on the degree of nefesh, afterwards he has degree of war. So he ascends to the degree of war. So how much does he have on the degree of nefesh? Whatever he had, and now he received the degree of. So the degree of war shines from above, downward. From shines the light of war. And on the degree of he has, and is the next action, and so on. We'll still draw it, and it'll all be clear for now. Somehow to connect ourselves, to warm ourselves up to all these changes that we'll see, as much as they are dependent on one another, pushing from below a certain degree, and instead of it comes. Instead of it, and the upper one that was there goes to a higher degree, and then to an even higher degree, meaning every time we make an effort with some light, with some the Creator's relation towards us, so we raise ourselves from one degree to the next. Yeah. So I am asking only about the war and peace here. Yeah. If you can advance with just peace. Yeah. If you attain peace, so on this current degree you connect. But when the new degree comes, can you start it with peace or is it war again? No. How can you start? It doesn't reveal itself this way. Every degree is revealed according to your effort. Ah, war. NHM. Next. Moscow 1. Moscow 1. Trying to be on the degree of the vegetative towards the environment when everything is changing. So with respect to the environment, you develop a certain kind of attitude, a certain approach. You try to support, but you rejected. Is it similar, that example? I don't know. It's not exactly correct. If you want to rise to a higher degree, so you invest certain forces for that, and the forces you invest, in general, they strengthen you upward. If you agree with them, descend a degree, and that you have no help from above. You just fall down from the degree you attained. We'll draw it. We'll make a diagram so it'll be easier to understand. Latin. Woman. Latin 26 women. And he's asking in the last pretty much the last line of the text. It says that when the Lord favours man's ways, even his enemies will make peace with him. So how can you reach such a covenant of peace in the current incarnation? It's possible. We just have to want it. It all depends on our desire. Our desire is in the Creator. And when we want to reach a higher degree, so the degree of wholeness pushes us even higher and higher to enter the Creator more. This way we attain good godliness gradually. What inner preparation, what conditions must be met in order to reach that covenant with the Creator? Preparation, like we say, that each one has to see the friends as part of him, and together with you, they're building the spiritual part, called a soul mishemer, and in this way we advance on the ladder of degrees. What is the difference between the prayer that a person has and the power to overcome? What is the difference between them in terms of defeating the evil inclination? Through prayer, we should constantly be aimed towards the Creator in the action we read about in the prayer. And by overcoming, we also make an effort to be together and to adhere to the Creator. But it doesn't matter which degree. If a person doesn't know exactly what degree he's on, so he has to depict that effort inside him to be together in the Creator, together with the Creator to be so, together with the friends to be in the Creator, and to rise with the group with the friends, together with the Creator to an even higher degree, that he raises the Creator in his eyes. Moscow women, Moscow. In our town, we have 6 friends, 6 members. A few weeks ago, we had another join. We want as many as possible to join us. But this is a friend that didn't have much experience working in tents. She switched between many tents, and after a short time she started criticizing the way we work in the tent. She started trying to teach us how to do things correctly, telling us we're working incorrectly, and then she announced she wants to leave. We want advice from you. What should we do? Should we help her, support her in staying, or what's your advice? What to do? I don't think you have to hold anybody forcefully if she wants to leave. If she has criticism or the way you study, so let her go. She can go. But you yourself need to scrutinize between you and understand that there's nothing better than being in a tent, and along with your tent to constantly rise. Through which path exactly? Through scrutinizing which questions, that doesn't really matter. The main thing is your intention. If you all want to be connected between you and all of you together, rise. You want to be together. Try see if you're ready for that. Maybe she's behaving in a way that you're not a friend anymore. Latin 7. Latin 7. From 197. We send you our warmest regards. Great. Thank you. Any questions? If we're talking about bestow, you said that the degree of bestow comprises 2 degrees. The person receives, and on the other hand the person has to bestow. So what is exactly? What does the person receive exactly? Thank you. Person gets a portion of the upper light. To him. That's why he feels pressure. That's what pushes him into thoughts of how to receive. What else? That's it. Now he receives that light in order to bestow it's a new light. It's a higher degree in a person for now. And then all the lights that were in him. And according to that they can go lower, in a degree below this new light. That's called that a person rises. Then it turns out that the of a person are entirely measured according to the new light that he receives. Women Hebrew 1. Is it correct to say that not returning to folly means that from one's personal war he comes to the understanding that victory can only happen in the joint war of the 10? Yeah, that's also right. Women's spar. You can have friends. Rising from 2 indicates an ascent of degree. So rising from malhood to beginner, is that also considered rising? And you don't go through the spur in between. No, you can't jump. It's all gradual. Either rise from 1 degree to the next, 1 degree to the next, or you descend also, every time. From the degree I was on or I'm on now, to a higher degree or to a lower degree. But it's always towards the adjacent degree to my current state. A woman. Thank you for this gift. We want the 10 to be like a strong team. We make every effort to reach that in the workshops. Everyone speaks very nicely. We build our intention together, and we feel that. But when it comes to taking action, then we have all sorts of mundane excuses, which obstruct our advancement in terms of participating in the morning lessons. For example, there are even some friends who don't listen to the lesson afterwards. So how can we help the 10 advance? What does the Creator want to tell us here? Why can't we do the maximum possible for the 10 to become strong and so that we can work in full force? Or is it just my ego saying that? And it's my correction. You want to see your 10 on the highest degree. So first you need to work on yourselves in order to rise to that degree. Then you can depict for yourself what every friend in the 10 can do for that uplifting. And my mission is to help them. Yeah. Your purpose is to help them. Thank you of the first entrance from our state to the state of Nefesh. Is that a certain jump? Is it not regular advancement? Is there some kind of skip? Obviously, we can exchange that feeling of the world around us, feeling on the ascending of the degrees, but it's all still in my jump, in my degree, and in this way each one. This transition occur. A person has to restrict himself. What do you need to do for this article to be realized? What has to take place? A person needs to understand. Everything depends on how he demands from his 10 efforts. What exactly does he need to demand of the 10? What effort? That's according to the degree. Latin 1. Latin 7 asked a similar question when we talk about how we need to receive more in order to bestow. So what is the thing that we receive? What does it mean that we're receiving more? We're just receiving more fulfillment. That comes from the Creator to us too. Each and everyone, whoever is rewarded with it. Then we feel that this fulfillment fills us. It helps us rise, like air, filling a bowl. What did he say? What is that fulfillment? What is that fulfillment? And how is it connected to the prayer or the lack of the person? What is that fulfillment? What does it correspond with? Towards that desire that fills us. Get the desire according to the degrees. That a certain light will enter that desire. Prayer according to our degree, our request, and according to the equivalence between the light and the desire, we feel a certain degree. Okay. Gracias, woman. Hebrew 1. Thank you, love. You said that we need to demand efforts from our tent. Question is if I try to awaken my tent towards connection towards the Creator, but I feel kind of silence or even resistance how to relate to that. Work on yourself and to do everything the friends are demanding of you. In the article, it says that you need to always be overcoming And here there's a question regarding the right choice on the path. If I feel comfortable with friends from other tens, am I making a mistake here? It'll be correct if you feel that you always want to be more and more filled with the light of the Creator, and along with that, you will be in contact with your friends, because in this way they give you forces, that portion that you can fill as a pipeline towards them, and in this way you all rise. Regarding overcoming, what do you overcome? You overcome your ego that is pulling you down. Thank you, dear love. What is the role of the screen in making that covenant of peace with the Creator? Can she ask again? What is the role of the screen in forming that covenant of peace with the Creator? And what inner action should we make, or can you make through this with its help? Is the question clear? Do we not know how to translate the question? Dale. Yes, I translated. Did you not hear? I heard, but I didn't understand. Maybe she can repeat just the question. What is the role of the screen in the formation of the covenant of peace with the Creator? The screen determines on which degree we stand in the connection between one another. There's a screen between friends, screens between each one and the upper light, or each one with the Creator. It's all according to a person as much as a person decides and is able to ask and receives help from above. We read in the excerpt that we war against the evil inclination, and then the Creator makes a covenant of peace with us. He gives us peace. Yeah. So the question is, does it mean that we failed to win the war and then the Creator had to help us? We have war with the Creator because every time we want to rise more, and He supposedly disturbs us. That's why we feel this way. Women, thank you very much. The transition from degree to degree comes about when the quantity of exertion is transmuted into quality, or even when a person sets new boundaries through borders. You said that when we practice it more, we'll understand what to do. Perhaps you can give us some kind of exercise we can do today so we can understand. No, you can't define it because you still don't have the precise feeling of the light, the ability to weigh it, whether to ascend or descend towards it. You still can't. PT 19. Without war, it's impossible to attain the quality. Without a war, is it impossible to attain the quality of bestow? Correct. So, in your opinion, do we have enough wars in Nebel to reach the quality of bestow? No, there aren't such wars. So perhaps you can elaborate a little. Or maybe it's time. We are coming to that. Another time twice, then we'll talk about it in practice. Yes. But what is the war? What war are you talking about that needs to happen between the fence? What are you talking about? I am at war against my ego in order to ascend above it and enter a higher degree. Who gives us this war? Do I initiate this war, or does the Creator bring these wars to us? The Creator. Does it? According to what? As much as a person is able. Just so. Yes. Thank you. Women Latin 26. Thank you for the opportunity to ask. Again, my question is in the 10. How can we overcome correctly after being in a war for so long? So we need to overcome. No, because the wars that were opposite of the Creator, and we're in that struggle between us and the Creator. That's one thing. Second, that we accept for that we need to understand and feel what the degree of the Creator is. You want to be above it. And this way, we have to be connected between us on higher and higher degrees. Women 15. You said that we can also descend in degrees, not just to rise. So when you descend a degree, do you lose the work you already did, or how does it work? By descending, we relate to what we attained as something that was unpast. That's why we can't interpret our state that we're in. How can we avoid it? How can we avoid falling by degrees and Also and always rise only connection in it so each one can hold on to the general screen between us and not fall. If I can ask another question, please. Will a person know at some point what degree he's in, or will we never know the degree we're in? What degree we're in? Of course, we need to know what degree we're on and how we can rise from one degree to the next one, and what we should feel on the next degree and how to hold on to it. So thank you everyone for your participation, and we will hope that next time we'll end this part and start with the world's all the best. Thank you. Thank you, man. We received so much in this lesson, so that is exactly our time to summarize the lesson together in the tense. Please, Gil. Person always have to aspire to the next degree, to the connection with the Creator. That's how we ascend from one degree to the next. Yes, in the connection between us. We strengthen the connection between us and the Creator, and then we can rise from one state to another degree by degree, and we need to always elevate the Creator above ourselves. We need to see the friends as parts of ourself. Each one is my own part. A person needs to always overcome. We overcome the egoism that is pulling us down. Our work is, a person has to enable himself to put the Creator above his head. That's something we constantly need to do, always in an effort to connect and prayer to the Creator. We got a lesson from the upper world, from our teacher, to recorded parts very strong alive. Lesson that continues those parts from endless height. He's talking. We want to make efforts in connection and invest ourselves in that common field between us and the annulment between us. I mentioned the strong part that we heard. As much as, in our effort to connect between us, we can help the group rise the friends with the connection with the Creator. That's where He's revealed, and we'll try and be part of those efforts now in the meal and every action. Yes, we need to ask for the fear that we don't have and the exaltedness of the Creator. Yeah, we're the focus group now. It was nice to see how connected the lesson from the preface to the quote we read. It connected in a perfect way, was about the covenant of peace. He was speaking about it. He elaborated on it. Okay friends, we will now hear reports from Info please. Info, Shalom. Yes. Hello to all the friends. We are continuing to give you announcement on the music project, the Project of Prayer. It's a musical project that we want to prepare for the next Congress that is coming in October, and we are ascending to the next degree. We want to ask all the tens around the world in every language to take a source, to connect around it, and to write a song around it. What does that mean? You take a source that you're really inspired by. That gives you inspiration, that you feel inspiration from it. You read it a few times and try in your words to write a song. You don't have to write a whole song or a verse. You can even write it without rhyming. We will make sure that our musicians will get all your ideas, and from them, they will create new songs of prayer for our Congress. So again, we're asking all the friends around the world in every language connect around a source and try to write a song around it. All songs send to boardworldmail@mail.com. Come and participate and be part of this. All of us doing it together and writing the next soundtrack to the upcoming Congress. Good day. Thank you. Let's all write the soundtrack for the next convention. Excellent. So, as for today, 5:30 a.m., we'll have a meal, our second meal, which is virtual meal. So prepare something to eat and drink. It's happening right now. 3:45 p.m. lesson preparation. And 4 we'll have a lesson on the subject of contending with disruptions. On the path, we learn how to recognize a disruption, a hindrance, learn how to use it so it doesn't serve as an obstacle, and so on. As we heard from Laitman, if I know that the disturbances come from the Creator, they are no longer disturbances, but corrections.